Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are having a Q&A part 3 where I will answer common questions from players which I collected in the recent times, and we will start this video with the simplest questions as how to unlock more lands in your allied culture and in your main city. Now, beside the obvious where you can click on the tile and just buy it for gems, you see there is another option, and this is the only option you can get land tiles for free without spending any money. This is by conquering the world map. Now, when you fight on the world map, some of the regions that you conquer will give you land tiles as the reward, as for your main city as well as for your allied culture. For example, on this free-to-play account, I've just fought a menace. If you saw my video, you would know. So when I was fighting menace, especially first when I started Minoan Era campaign, I got some land tiles. Now, then we had some battles in the middle. I conquered some regions. They gave me just resources and RP points. But towards the end, where menace finally falls, I got some more land expansions for my main city and for my allied culture. If we go to Egypt, you would see that in my Egypt at the moment I have unlocked all lands on the right side of the bridge. None of the lands on the left because I still need to repair the bridge, but all the lands on the right side. This happens when you complete a certain era campaign. So don't worry if you don't have a lot of tiles at the start of the campaign. Don't worry about that. When you will finish the campaign, you will unlock all the necessary land pieces provided to you by winning and conquering certain regions. That is the only way to get land expansions beside buying from gems. The next question is, what is a favorite wonder and why do we need that? So if we go to World Wonders, I click, for example, my lighthouse and switch it to favorite. What happens? When I go into RP exchange with some other player, then instead of scrolling through the whole list of the wonders the player has, if I choose the player in my alliance, I choose wonders. Instead of scrolling through all the list here, I can just click on favorites and I will see where the person wants my donations to be. So that system was made to simplify the RP exchange for players. When I go in RP exchange, I don't text the player all the time, I want donations on my Zeus, on my Archon, on my Stonehenge, whatever. I just put that wonder into favorite and the person would know it and just donate on that. Need to mention that you can put only one wonder into favorites, but that is perfectly enough. Just make sure you have 3 slots for donations when you're RP exchange and you're gonna be pretty fine. Third question would be about the goods in the trade system. Now, sometimes players say in the trade, no one is buying my goods, no one buys them, I need them sold, and etc. So don't worry if no one buys your goods for 24 hours. So after 24 hours, NPC, non-playable character, in the game will buy them. But the bot buys them once in 24 hours. So eventually they're gonna be sold. So don't worry too much. The next question. How to increase happiness on the buildings? Very simple question. Some buildings like Pirate Fortress, like your culture site, they produce happiness in the certain radius around them. As you see, my moderate culture site produces happiness in 2 squares on all the sides from it. So what I want to do, if I want to boost the happiness of certain buildings, I put this building in the middle and it produces happiness to my buildings. Now, if I want to maximize that happiness, I need to put around the buildings I need these culture sites. Now, for example, I want a farm to be at max happiness. So what will I do? I will put culture sites around that farm. So they would boost it as much as they can. If you have a quest to make farms on max happiness, make house on max happiness, and etc., and you don't know how to complete it, it's very simple. Just pick the necessary building, and put your culture sites around it, and the happiness level will grow. Now, why the happiness is important is because if you boost happiness of a farm, it can up to double the production it does on the base if you make it to max happiness. For houses, it's the same, but for producing gold. For barracks, it just speeds up the time at which your troops are replenished, so maybe it's not so important, but houses and farms are very important to have culture sites around them. The next question is, on what to spend gems? I already answered this question many times, but in case you missed it, we can go through it once again. So on what to spend gems, you have basically 4 options how to spend them at base on the most important things, besides some speed ups and other stuff. So my advice is, if you have collected certain amount of gems and you are thinking what to buy, the first thing you would want to buy is a luxury farm. Why? Because on the events and some quests, on the event quests, you will many times see the quest is collect 50 long productions from farms or collect 2 productions from luxury farm. So 1 luxury farm at least per city will make your life a lot easier. You will be able to complete those quests a lot easier, a lot faster, and also luxury farm produces very good amount of food though, so it will help you speed up the food production in your city. So I would highly suggest your first purchase to be 1 luxurious farm. You don't need many of them if you don't want to spend money. If you just collect gems on a daily basis from encounters in the city, you will be able to buy at least 1 luxury farm towards a certain point in the game. Now, on the second place is going to be luxury house. Why? Because luxury houses produce you workers, 2 workers per 1 house, which is absolutely amazing, and towards the end game you would want as many workers as you can possibly get because they're never enough. And luxury houses come in handy. Also, they produce more gold than the average houses in your city. That's what makes them absolutely amazing. You will not have any quests, customizations or anything towards luxury houses, therefore my advice is to firstly get a luxury farm and secondly get a luxury house. Later on during the game, while you will collect more gems, you can also buy a luxury culture site. Why? Because they produce a lot of culture boost, and you will actually be very happy if you have some of them to boost your production in the houses, in the farms, everywhere around your city. Those buildings are highly important and will help you advance a lot faster, since you would be able to maximize the production on all of your production buildings. And last but not least is you can buy expansion tiles. I never suggest that because towards the end game you will unlock most of the lands through the war campaign and you would not need those tiles as much. But if you're really up for it and you really like space and you want to buy something extra, you can of course do it, but I never suggest on buying land expansions. Now the next question is, how does the crit chance work? Now some wonders crit chance boost to certain units of your army, like for example Chichen Itza for ranged unit, City de Carcassonne for heavy infantry, and so on. So how does the crit chance work? Approximately all of your units have in about 5% base of crit chance. There is no official info, not on the wiki, not anywhere, but there was a post some time ago which showed that archers have 6% boost, infantry had 4 if I recall it correctly, so approximately middle from which you could count would be 5% base. And now how the crit chance work? Crit chance, for example, if you get to Chichen Itza, it starts with 25% and ends with 125% on the level 30. Now, what you need to know, if you reach 100% crit chance on Chichen Itza, it doesn't mean that your archers are gonna hit critical hit every time they hit some enemy. No, it's not gonna work that way. 100% added to the crit chance, it means that your initial crit would be doubled. So for example, if you reach 100% crit chance on Chichen Itza, that means that your archers now have not 5 but 10% of crit. It's a nice addition, high improvement, you will actually feel the difference. Crit chance here work like in every other game. It's a low percentage. you can double, triple it with some wonders just to have a higher chance of critting. Trust me, if you build Chichen Itza even on level 4, you will actually feel the difference in the damage your archers do. It's not like they will crit very rarely, they will do it quite often. But what you need to know is that those numbers, like 100% crit chance, doesn't mean that it's gonna be crit all the time. No, it's going to be doubled your initial crit chance. So if you had 5% as the base, with 100% from Chichen Itza, you will have 10%. That is how the crit damage works in this game. And now the next question, and one of the most important ones, is how many resources are needed to be saved before advancing era. What you need to know about this is that every time you want to advance era, you should go to Wiki and check the approximate era cost for that era. For example, we will start from the latest era available at the moment. We will start with the Age of Sicily. Age of Sicily requires us 483 million gold, 331 million food, approximate cost. Now what these numbers mean? These numbers doesn't mean you need to collect all of it before you start advancing. No, it's gonna be of course cool, but no one does that. These numbers are given you to provide you with information. Now the bare minimum to advance would be 1/3 of the required cost. So for example, in this case, it would be 160 million gold or 110 million food just to start. Because after you advance with at least bare minimum of 1/3, you would be able to upgrade houses, upgrade farms, at least from one level up. You will also be able to upgrade infantry and archers barracks to not fail your alliance in alliance treasure hunt, and therefore this bare minimum will allow you to just make it smooth, so you will not experience any difficulties, any failures in alliance treasure hunt and so on. If you start with the bare minimum, you will fastly drop your golden food to 0, but don't worry, towards that time you will have at least modern houses, modern farms, and modern barracks to fight on. And eventually you will collect resources necessary to finish the era you're in. But if you want a more smooth and enjoyable gameplay, then you should have exactly half, 50% of the required era cost. So in this case it's gonna be 240 million gold and 160 million food. So this amount will allow you to experience more smooth advancement through the era you're advancing to. Now this doesn't mean you ain't gonna drop to 0. Probably in case of Age of Sicily you will, but by the time you reach that point, you will be highly advanced and you will produce gold, food, everything a lot faster. So what you need to know is that bare minimum is 1/3 of the approximate era cost. Smooth and more enjoyable gameplay is at half of the resources required. Also, what you need to know is that while you wait before advancing and you collect resources, you also collect production goods. You will need tons and tons and tons of those production goods to advance in the modern era. So by the time you collect food and gold, you also produce a lot of production goods in your allied cultures and in your main city, which will help you out to advance smooth and enjoyable. So don't take it as a chore, just take your time. This game is about patience. Collecting resources will take you 3-4 weeks, maybe a little bit more, but it's usually 3-4 weeks. Enjoy this time, play Alliance Treasure Hunt, collect resources. You would not need to spend them on upgrades and stuff because you finished previous era, so you will accumulate them pretty fast. Just take your time, enjoy, and then advance when you feel you are prepared according to the Wiki approximate era cost. Now, I will show you all the eras from Wiki right now, so take your time, enjoy, and look at the screen. And on this note, I thank you all for watching. Hit a like if you like my content, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on my next video.